Without using ninjutsu, even Naruto faced a tacit siege by dozens of jonin, and there were some small troubles. But that's all. It is impossible to hurt Naruto. That would only be possible if he stood still. After all, the dodge technique has been cultivated to a very high level by him. Any attack he can resolve in a very strange way. Sasuke and others were unable to attack for a long time, and they were not impatient. They are used to it. If Naruto was really hurt by them, they would be surprised instead. The fight didn't last long. One is because this is just a test, a simple test is fine. The second is to worry that the noise made will disturb others and disturb their plans. Now their power has not been exposed to the eyes of the village. Is a very crucial force. Everyone stopped spontaneously. Naruto looked at the crowd with satisfaction, nodded and said, "You guys are doing great. Now you already have the power to protect your family and your clan. Compared to waiting until the real threat to the village comes, you can also protect your home very well." The little ghosts of Uchiha looked at each other with smiles in their eyes. They have worked so hard for so long. Every day at home, we need to beware of the possibility of 253 assassination, killing and waiting for Lien. Isn't it just for now? Now, Naruto personally told them that they already had the power to protect themselves. That means they already have the strength to contend with the village. This is what Naruto said, and they firmly believe it. Don't wait for them to be happy for a few seconds. Naruto shouted suddenly, "But it's not enough. Although you already have the power to protect yourself, you must remember that the road to power is endless. Don't be complacent about your little achievements now. What you can have now, you will definitely have more in the future. So, don't stop moving forward, you must constantly temper yourself, so that the current self is better than the previous self, remember?" The blood of the Uchiha imps spurted by Naruto. If it wasn't for them remembering not to make loud noises, I'm afraid they would have already shouted loudly. They also gritted their teeth and did not shout out. Naruto saw their excitement in their scarlet Sharingan. He was very satisfied that they remembered their words and did not make any noise, even though they were so excited. This kind of self-control ability is what he has always asked for, because ninjas cannot be too affected by emotions. Learning to control your emotions is also a compulsory course for a real ninja. A ninja who makes a fuss casually is definitely not qualified. Next, you continue to practice. I will go first, remember what I said. The Uchiha kids nodded in unison. In the darkness, only the scarlet light can be seen shaking up and down. Naruto's figure flashed and disappeared into the darkness. After he left, the Uchiha kids in Kankuri began to practice spontaneously. They are already very familiar with this. Those who are familiar with the road will find their opponents to compete with each other. Uchiha Izumi looked at the place where Naruto left, with a bit of reluctance in his eyes. She also wanted to talk to Naruto, but Naruto left directly. She also knows that now is not the time to take care of her children's love, but how can a girl who is just beginning to love not want to spend more time with her lover? She could only suppress the agitation in her heart and vent everything to the Minister of Cultivation. This spelled disaster for her opponent. She is the rare Uchiha who has awakened Mangekyo Sharingan, and she is also the oldest Uchiha present. In the case of her own strength, with Mangekyo Sharingan's increased pupil power, no one can compete with her in terms of pupil power. As a result, many little ghosts started to daze, dance, and circle in circles directly on the spot, completely powerless to resist. As the sun sets, the sun is withdrawn little by little. In a hidden forest, Itachi in Enbu costume stands in the moonlight. The coldness of the moonlight made him look even darker. Even if it is illuminated, it belongs to the people in the dark. His eyes were deep and dignified, because what he is going to do next is very important. A dark cloud blocked the moonlight, and this small open space fell into darkness again. But soon, the dark clouds drifted away, and the moonlight shone again. But at this moment, a figure appeared in front of Itachi. That's Obito in a mask. Have you made up your mind yet? Obito knew why. He kept monitoring Itachi's situation in the dark. He naturally knew why Itachi was looking for him at this time. Itachi said lightly, "I have made up my mind. I hope you will not break the promise you made with me. Otherwise, even if you are Uchiha Madara, I will kill you without mercy." Facing Itachi's threat, Obito calmed down. He wasn't originally Uchiha Madara either, that was just his tiger skin. Moreover, he is confident enough that he is confident that his strength will not fall behind anyone. Stop talking nonsense. When will you act? Obito couldn't wait any longer.
In his plan, too much Uchiha is useless. It will only hinder him.
Itachi looked up at the moonlight and said, "In another 2 hours, after they all fall into a deep sleep, I will let them leave this world without pain." Obito couldn't help but sarcastically, "It's really kind. Stupid others, but let others die without pain. I don't know if it's hypocrisy or righteousness, or to make myself feel at ease. But no matter what, as long as he embarks on this road, Itachi has no possibility of turning back. No matter how he frees himself, those lives will eventually be counted on him. Because the sacrificed person is not voluntary. They are just a bunch of innocent people." Itachi ignored Obito's taunt, he said lightly. "In 2 hours, meet at the Uchiha tribe." Obito nodded slightly. "Understood. But what are you going to do?" Itachi said coldly. "It has nothing to do with you." After finishing speaking, he left immediately. Obito looked at the direction Itachi was leaving with extremely gloomy eyes. "It's really a cold guy, but it's normal to be on guard against me. But no matter what, your sins will never be washed away after tonight. Let me make good use of your sharp knife, in order to achieve my ideal." Third generation walked silently. He doesn't need to teach tomorrow, so he doesn't need to prepare lessons today. But again, he couldn't sleep well today. Thinking of what would happen next, he couldn't help but sigh. As a wall swinger, if it is not a last resort, he does not want to make such a decision. After all, Uchiha can be considered a powerful force. But Nai and Uzebo are too strong. Sooner or later sleepiness will become something of Uchiha if left unchecked. In order to inherit the legacy of the second generation purpose, he can only do so. He stood there, looking at the bright moon in the sky. Suddenly said, "Come out, you came here because you want to tell me something. Don't worry, I've screened out left and right, you don't need to worry." Third generation turned back slightly, looking at Itachi who appeared behind him at some unknown time. Itachi knelt down on one knee, lowered his head and said, "I'm sorry for your trouble." Third generation turned around, with a trace of helplessness in his tone. "First of all, I want to thank you, because of your sacrifice, the possibility of civil war in the village was avoided. The peace of the village has also been preserved." Itachi's voice was extremely low. Yes. Third generation didn't seem to notice Itachi's depressed mood at this time. He continued talking on his own. "However, I still regret that I have not been able to find a more suitable path. In the end, people like you can only bear that kind of infamy." Itachi closed his eyes, hiding his pain. "Very sorry." Third generation drank in a low voice, with a hint of pain in his voice. "It's me who should apologize. From now on, Konoha will regard you as a traitor who killed a clan, and you will be included in the wanted list regardless of life or death." Itachi opened his eyes, filled with awareness. "That's a matter of course." Third generation turned back slightly, and asked with a trace of inquiry, "What are you going to do next?" Itachi bowed his head and said, "I asked someone who claimed to be the Akatsuki to help me. I will follow this person in case he breaks his oath." Third generation frowned. "Akatsuki? What is that?" "Forget it. Anyway, troublesome Uchiha is about to be solved. Regardless of his organization, Yao organization. Pay attention to safety. The enchantment of the village is the same as before. If you want Sasuke, you can come back and have a look at any time." Third generation said with relief. He knew that what Itachi cared most about now was actually his younger brother. Thinking that the child will be helpless after tonight, third generation feels a little embarrassed. The once mighty Uchiha will wither after tonight. "Many thanks." Itachi bowed his head and said, then his figure flashed and disappeared in place. Third generation breathed a sigh of relief. After tonight, the ticking time bomb of Konoha, Uchiha, will be removed. Although it will hurt the vitality of the village for a while, but they are Konoha, with many ninjas. It's only a matter of time before you want to recover. Sudden. There was a movement from the shadows. Third generation's nerves tensed instantly. "Who is it? Come out." He stopped drinking, and his murderous aura suddenly came out. Today's conversation can be described as top secret among top secrets. Absolutely no third person should know. Otherwise, if this conversation spreads out, it will be a very serious blow to his image. It is very unfavorable for him to secure the position of Hokage. So, whoever is hiding there must. Forehead. Naruto? Why are you here? Naruto scratched his head and said innocently. Well, I can't sleep, so I went out for a walk. I didn't mean to eavesdrop. Third generation sighed, restraining the murderous aura on his body. If it was someone else in the village, he would definitely deal with it mercilessly. But Naruto is a different existence to him. One is the identity of Naruto. Naruto is the Jinchuriki of 9 tails. If Naruto is killed, it means Yi Tian lost 9 tails. This is not worth the candle. The second is because Naruto's kindness makes him unbearable, and he is very filial to him. The most important thing is the talent shown by Naruto, which makes him secretly regard Naruto as his successor. Looking at the various powerful strengths displayed by Naruto, he seems to have seen the first generation. He believes that under the leadership of Naruto in the future, the village will definitely be able to recover to its most prosperous period in the past. It can even surpass that period. He is looking forward to it. Therefore, it is absolutely impossible for him to shoot Naruto. Because for him, Naruto is absolutely his own. Bigger than Danzo. Forget it, what have you heard? Third generation sighed and asked. Although I don't want to touch Naruto, I also need to know how much Naruto has heard. Naruto said with a blank face. I heard Grandpa third generation say that Itachi big brother will be wanted in the future, and he will still be charged with killing the family. But now Uchiha isn't. As if he had just realized it, his eyes widened. Could it be that Itachi big brother is going to kill his own people? Looks like they heard it all. The third generation is helpless. Since this is the case, they can't hide it from Naruto. At least for now he couldn't think of words to explain the situation. Rather than that, he might as well tell Naruto about this, so that the kind Naruto can understand the darkness of the ninja world. Little did third generation know, Wu 03 knew the darkness of the ninja world better than him. If third generation knew about Naruto's mission in the underground black market, he would definitely not have such an idea. Third generation sighed deeply, his face full of regret. There is no way. The conflict between the Uchiha clan and the village has reached its limit. If you don't, sooner or later the Uchiha clan will rebel and the whole village will be involved in a civil war. At that time, I am afraid that the entire Konoha will fall apart. I did this for the peace of the village. Naruto opened his mouth, his face full of confusion. But, aren't we all from the same village? If there is a misunderstanding, wouldn't it be good to sit down and talk about it? Is it really necessary to do this? Looking at Naruto's appearance, third generation flashed a smile in his eyes, but quickly restrained himself and said. Naruto, sometimes talking is useless. It's because the conversation can't achieve the goal now, so I made this bad move. Otherwise I wouldn't want to make that decision. I am also deeply saddened, Naruto. Naruto lowered his head in disappointment, then raised his head in doubt and asked. But, there are so many people in Uchiha, Itachi. Can one do it alone? No matter how powerful Itachi big brother is, how can he win if there are so many Uchihas besieging him? For Itachi's combat effectiveness, third generation is very confident. In other words, Mangekyo Sharingan. Except for Uchiha Fugaku who may be a little troublesome, but the other Uchiha probably won't be Itachi's all-in-one enemy. He said faintly with some pride. Don't worry, Itachi's strength is dirty. With him in charge, there will be no problem. And Sasuke who practiced with you is not on Itachi's beheading list, otherwise the matter is really different. The improvement in your kid's strength this year is really terrifying. There is no kid around 6 years old whose strength is almost on par with the famous Jonin. Especially you, even Kakashi said that he is no match for you. It's really scary. As long as you don't meet a pervert like you, Itachi will be fine. He is enjoying himself. I heard Naruto said worriedly. The big thing is bad, Grandpa third generation. Third generation didn't realize the seriousness of the matter. He patted Naruto's head with a smile and said. Don't worry, nothing will happen. Naruto shook off third generation's hand, and said anxiously. No, things are really bad. I've been training the Uchiha kids my age lately. It has been going on for a while, and their strength is not weak. The smile on third generation's face froze for a moment. His eyes widened suddenly, and his hands caught Naruto's shoulders. How many people do they have? How strong are they? He is very aware of how training with Naruto will improve. Those children in Naruto's class have been practicing with Naruto all the time, and all of them now have the strength not weaker than Chunin. There are even a few who have reached the level of Jonin. Such as Naruto, such as Sasuke, and so on. Now Naruto told him there were probably more of them. How could he not be worried? Naruto seemed to know that he was in trouble, and said cautiously. I don't know for sure, but the strength is about the same as that of Asuma sensei. I haven't seen many ninjas, otherwise it would be more accurate. Third generation was completely dumbfounded. Although he has always been called Asuma trash, but his trash son is also Konoha's concern. Naruto, does this mean that the Uchiha clan has dozens more Jonin out of thin air? This is a fart. No matter how powerful Itachi is, facing the siege of dozens of Jonins, he still has to choose a song. He is not Uchiha Madara, the god of ninja world. No. Itachi and Mangekyo have a solution. There should be a way, right? Third generation is completely unconfident now. Even if he faced dozens of Jonin, it would be impossible for him to survive. It was really hard for him to believe that Itachi's plan could succeed smoothly. Naruto bowed his head in apology. Sorry, Grandpa third generation, Naruto caused trouble. I originally wanted to train them well, and let them shine for Konoha in the future. I never thought they would rebel. If I had known, I would never have taught them. As he spoke, he even carried a hint of crying. Tears also fell from the corners of his eyes. This acting skill instantly bluffed a generation. Third generation was angry and anxious in his heart. But some are reluctant to scold Naruto. After all, Naruto was also unintentional. Their plan was carried out secretly, and Naruto didn't know it was normal. And what Naruto did was also for the sake of the village. His criticism of Naruto at this time will only be counterproductive. You are also unintentional, don't think too much. Third generation gritted his teeth and comforted Naruto, thinking quickly about countermeasures. The plan that was originally a surefire plan now has such a big mistake. He'd have a backup plan anyway. Naruto, don't think too much, you are also doing it for the good of the village. You certainly don't want things to turn out like this. Well, maybe there is room for things to change. I'll go see if I can stop Itachi and avoid this tragedy from happening. Naruto looked up with tears in his eyes. Grandpa third generation, don't you blame Naruto? Seeing Naruto's pitiful appearance, third generation's heart almost melted. How could Grandpa be willing to blame Naruto? Naruto has such a kind heart, and always thinks about Grandpa. How could Jong blame you? And you don't know about this incident, and it's not your responsibility that things have developed into this situation. Okay. I'll check the situation first, hoping to stop it in time. As he spoke, he patted Naruto's head and left quickly. As soon as third generation left, Naruto continued to cry for a while, and then slowly restrained himself. At this moment, there was no pitiful look on his face that was full of tears just now. He looked at the direction in which third generation was leaving, with a smile on the corner of his mouth. Looking at the situation, third generation didn't doubt me at all, and his attitude just now showed that he has great trust in me. In this way, it will be very helpful for me to control Konoha in the future. The current grade is the biggest obstacle that restricts me from becoming a Hokage. In order to avoid unnecessary trouble, let third generation continue to sit in that position. Guys like Danzo from the province polluted that location. He looked up at the sky, and then the figure disappeared instantly. It's time to start the second phase of the 343 plan. Back to the tribe. Itachi walked silently on the deserted streets. It was night. Everyone is already sleeping peacefully at home. It is a good time to assassinate. He didn't have a guard at the gate of the moving tribe. If the guard at the gate disappears, the clansmen patrolling at night will immediately notice the abnormality. At that time, I am afraid that there will be some changes. He looked at the closed doors one by one, as if one by one was suspicious of his clansmen. Up to now, many people think that he killed Jung district. This is also good. I won't have any hesitation when I make a move. Itachi put his hand on the handle of the knife and slowly clenched it. Fortunately, Sasuke came home late today. Before he comes back, I have to make all the preparations. He looked up and looked at the quiet family land under the moonlight. Goodbye, Uchiha. From now on, I will carry your life on my back until the day Sasuke finds me. Itachi had already planned his life. Starting today, he is no longer Uchiha Itachi from Konoha village. But the sinner who killed a family, Konoha betrayed Uchiha Itachi. Do a good job of psychological construction. He restrained the killing intent that was about to emerge from his body, so as not to alarm some keen guys. Sudden. He heard a movement. When I looked up, I saw a little ghost appearing. It was a kid in the same grade as Sasuke. If he remembers correctly, this kid is in the same class as Sasuke. Sorry. I said secretly in my heart. Then Itachi rushed over. Although Uchiha Liuyan, who came out to wake up at night, was not very concentrated at this time. But the once high-intensity assassination simulation made him ready to prepare at any time. Even after waking up at night, he will come out after wearing all the ninja gear. The moment he pushed open the door, he immediately felt a stabbing killing intent. He woke up suddenly, and pulled out a short sword like a conditioned reflex, blocking the attacker's attack. Ding! Uchiha Liuyan looked up and looked at Itachi in shock. He wasn't shocked that Itachi had attacked him. Because it was already in his expectation. In other words, all of this is within Naruto's expectations. Naruto told them several times that they should be careful of sneak attacks in the village, especially from people around them. That's why Naruto spearheaded an intensive assassination simulation for them. Therefore, when Liuyan was attacked by the ferret, he immediately knew that the village was attacking them. He couldn't help being very happy. If it wasn't for Naruto's hard teaching for many days, he had an almost instinctive reaction to block. Otherwise he would have been killed by this blow. But it was Itachi himself who was more shocked than Liuyan. He widened his eyes, looking at Liuyan who blocked his attack. What happened? He was still in a daze just now. How did he react instantly? Although he and Sasuke are in the same class. However, this level of skill is too surprising. Block your own attack. He was able to block the attack of the first genius of the Uchiha family. What happened? Shocked. Liuyan immediately questioned loudly. Uchiha Itachi? Have you really betrayed your people? You are still the son of the village chief in vain. You really let us down. Itachi's face suddenly darkened. Liuyan seemed to be questioning him, but in fact he was using his voice to wake up the sleeping Uchiha clan. In that case, even if he faced the siege of dozens or hundreds of Uchiha, it would be difficult for him to escape. Must be quick. Scarlet red suddenly appeared in Itachi's eyes, and the Sharingan of Sanguyu suddenly appeared. He immediately cast an illusion on Liuyan, and then slashed with a knife. However, ding! The attack was blocked again. Itachi was even more shocked when he saw the blade standing still in front of Liuyan's eyes. Because, he saw something extremely exaggerated. He actually saw 3 Tomo Sharingan in this boy who was the same age as Sasuke. How is this possible? Uchiha Itachi is stunning, incomparable. Even for him, he only opened the 3-hook jade at the age of 9. The boy in front of him is only 6 years old. A full 3 years earlier than him. Why has he never heard of such talent? Liuyan's 3-hook jade successfully resisted Itachi's illusion and blocked his attack. And start a knife, forcing back Uchiha Itachi. Keep stepping back. Uchiha Itachi is getting more and more chaotic. What happened? Could it be that my strength has regressed too much? Now even a small child can't handle it. Itachi clenched his teeth, and his speed suddenly increased. But the opponent's speed is not weaker than him. Whoosh! Boom! The crisp sound of weapons clashing was transmitted in the silent night. Sleeping Uchihas are awakened one after another. What's going on? What sound do I really want to hear? Will you let people sleep at night? I'm not on duty tomorrow, let me sleep for a while. I just sleep for 5 minutes, huh? There seems to be a situation outside. Could it be an enemy attack? This is Uchiha's territory. Who has the guts? Do you want to go out and have a look? These are all members of the Uchiha clan who have no ninja talent. They were uneasy and did not dare to go out, for fear of affecting themselves and their families. In their view, even if there is a battle, it is the things that the clansmen who are ninjas will do otherwise. Their job is to maintain the huge expenses in the group. But another group of people rushed out of their house without the slightest hesitation. They were young, all kids and a bunch of teenagers. It's the Uchiha imps trained by Naruto. Sure enough, it's a sneak attack. Could it be that the genocide plan has begun? The closest to Liuyan is the Uchiha Iron Tree. Seeing Liuyan being suppressed by Itachi, he rushed up immediately. I'm here to help. Tieshu yelled. Although it made Itachi alert in advance, it also successfully reminded Liuyan. The tacit understanding between the two is incomparable. The moment he heard the Iron Tree's voice, Liuyan immediately blocked Itachi's sight with his body. Then suddenly dodged. Several shurikens suddenly appeared with flashing cold light, and they came to Itachi almost in the blink of an eye. Under this distance, Itachi can no longer use the substitute technique. But Itachi is worthy of being Itachi. The ninja sword in his hand was slightly twisted twice, and the shurikens were knocked out one after another. Immediately afterwards, Iron Tree waved Ku Wui and rushed up. Liuyan is also bullying himself. The two launched a fierce encirclement attack on Itachi. There are no gorgeous ninjutsu, but only the speed and movement of the ultimate. The figures of the three disappeared and reappeared, and the speed has exceeded the limit that ordinary people can see. They wouldn't be able to fight this kind of battle if they didn't both have the Sharingan. This guy actually has 3 Tomo Sharingan? Since when did 3 Tomo Sharingan become so much? After seeing the Iron Tree's face, Itachi almost lost his footing. Just now Liuyan has 3 Hook Jades. Now comes this one, with it. What the hell happened? Itachi gritted his teeth, he knew the action was not good. He has been dragged for so long. The sound of fighting has alarmed too many people. At this time, the guy named Uchiha Madara may not come forward. He must fight alone to solve the current embarrassing situation, so that the action can continue. No solution anymore. Now is not the time to hide your own strength. Itachi suddenly closed his eyes, then opened them. The shape of the Guyu suddenly changed into the shape of a Sanyefeng car. Seeing these eyes, Liuyan and Tieshu were startled. They immediately retreated, wanting to distance themselves, their heads subconsciously turned. Pity. It's too late. When they saw Itachi's Mangekyo, they were already under his illusion. The two stood there motionless. Itachi seized the opportunity and swiped the ninja knife in his hand. However, ding! The sudden kunai hit his ninja sword, and the force made him unable to hold the ninja sword. The ninja knife fell to the ground with a clang. Itachi suddenly looked in the direction of kunai's attack. I saw, was a short Uchiha youth. He is Uchiha An, a member of the guard team, and he worked as a family guard with Uchiha Itachi before, and he is rushing over at a fast speed. Itachi started Mangekyo without hesitation, however, the next second. HMPH, a dozen or so, do you really have Mangekyo? The corners of Uchiha's mouth curled up, and her eyes opened wide. Next second. A Sharingan with a peculiar pattern emerges. Seeing this scene, Itachi's whole body trembled, his ears buzzed, because his mind went blank. Because Mangekyo Sharingan is also open on the opposite side. What the hell happened here? Why even Mangekyo? Uchiha Itachi is completely dumbfounded. His Mangekyo only opened after witnessing Shisui's death. In the family, there are only a few people who own Mangekyo. How did Uchiha An open it? Never heard of it. This moment, Itachi felt as if he had been under an illusion. But he has Mangekyo Sharingan. I am afraid that apart from Shisui's distinguished heavenly gods, it is impossible for him to be enchanted at all. So, what he sees is the damn reality, but this made him even more unacceptable. Just when he was in doubt, Uchiha An, who had turned on Mangekyo, yelled directly. Enemy attack. The village is attacking us. Everyone come out. Uchiha Itachi is defecting. Because of Naruto's simulated genocide exercise before, almost 70% of the Uchiha people were ready for defense in just a moment. Swish swish swish. A large number of people ran out from various mansions. They are all the core fighting force in the family. Teenagers, young people, middle-aged men, old and weak women, are the places for quick transfer, either hiding or running into the village. Just like in practice. At this time, the Uchiha tribe surrounded Itachi, and the scarlet Sharingan was in their eyes. Many adults even wear a whole set of ninja gear. The main reason is that these children have long been accustomed to the daily life of being assassinated after being carefully taught by Naruto. Weapons and ninja tools are never more than 1 meter away from the body, just to deal with the current situation at any time. However, when they saw the situation at the scene, there was still an uproar. It turned out to be a weasel. I knew it, he must be Hokage's lackey. Brother Shisui must have been killed by him too. Damn traitor, as the patriarch's son, he actually betrayed to the side of the village, it's really abominable. Kill this traitor and avenge brother Shisui. Some people are angry, some people are puzzled. Almost everyone is calling Uchiha Itachi a traitor. At this time, the crowd parted. Uchiha Fugaku and Beauty out. When the two saw Itachi, their expressions changed drastically. Fugaku's face was full of anger. You trash. You actually betrayed the tribe. How could I have a useless son like you? Today I'm going to clean up the door and kill you. Makoto covered his face and wept, but he couldn't say anything to defend Itachi. Itachi's behavior really disappointed her. Itachi was surrounded by groups, his eyes were cold. Although his heart is very painful at this time, he has already made a decision, and there is no turning back at all. What's more, his parents have been taken away by Naruto long ago, he has already prepared in his heart. Since this is the case, there is nothing to be done. I can only get rid of you all. As soon as these words came out, the faces of the Uchiha people suddenly changed. They have hundreds of people, you only have one person, and you dare to speak wild words. It's really arrogant. It seems that he has been outside for too long, and he has forgotten how powerful Uchiha is. Today I will avenge brother Shisui. Say, brother Shisui's eyes have been taken away by you, hand them over. Do you think you can beat all of us by yourself? Stop wishful thinking. Today is your death day, Itachi. Remember to tell brother Shisui that I, Uchiha Hida, avenged him. I will let you, a traitor, die without a burial today. Enraged, the Uchiha tribe rushed forward, and Uchiha Fugaku, the patriarch, wasn't completely carried away by anger. He waved his hand and said, "Guards, protect the elderly, women and children first. The third generation may have sent other assassins, don't let them be affected. Others follow me. I will kill this traitor with my own hands." Itachi, you. Makoto burst into tears, opened his mouth but couldn't speak. Itachi's behavior is really too much. Even if she is as gentle as water, she cannot forgive her. At this time Makoto couldn't help but feel lucky. Fortunately, I still have the child Naruto. Otherwise, I don't know if I can bear the pain of losing a child. On the battlefield. Facing the number disadvantage, Itachi knew that he had to reduce the number as soon as possible. Otherwise, if there are too many people, the Japanese can drown him with a mouthful of saliva. So he can't waste time on those difficult people. With a whoosh, Itachi skipped over the boy who had turned on Mangekyo before, and went straight to a girl beside him. Uchiha Izumi. Because of Itachi, he found that these teenagers who were about the same age as Sasuke were very strange. The strength is much stronger than ordinary adults. Fighting with them is just a waste of time. But Uchiha Izumi is a person he is very familiar with. As a contemporaneous student and former admirer of himself, he is well aware that Uchiha Izumi's strength is not particularly outstanding. Not even Sharingan is turned on. It is an excellent breakthrough. Itachi, do you still think I am who I used to be? Facing Itachi's attack, Quan seemed very calm. She closed her eyes, then snapped them open. The scarlet color representing Sharingan suddenly appeared in the eyes. The most important thing is that the pattern in her eyes is not Guyu, but the shape of a 6-leaf flower. Mangekyo Sharingan? Itachi was startled. The body that rushed over was even a little bit unstable. Quan said coldly, "Don't think Mangekyo Sharingan is only for you." Itachi's spirit was shaken, and he immediately backed away quickly. It is very unwise to attack another Mangekyo holder without preparation. Before finding out what Izumi's Mangekyo ability is, Itachi didn't dare to attack her rashly. But that's not all. Quan opened his hands and said loudly, "Everyone, Let this traitor see 113, the true strength of our Uchiha clan. Itachi was shocked when he heard this. Is there any more? Then he saw several boys and girls around him, as well as several youths, all of them activated Mangekyo Sharingan. Each pair of eyes has a unique pattern, representing each unique pupil technique. This moment, Itachi is a little numb now. Mangekyo. There are so many, not only the previous Uchiha An, but also the Uchiha Spring in front of me, and so many tribesmen have also opened Mangekyo. What's going on? This moment, Itachi's face turned pale. Sweat poured out of my back layer by layer, false footsteps. With so many Mangekyo, how could he fight alone? Totally impossible. What to do now? The night of genocide hadn't even started yet, and he didn't even kill a single person, yet he was about to be carried away. I am about to be killed. Turning sideways, Uchiha Itachi immediately reversed his pace, and then ran towards the exit Arashi on the side. The escape has begun. Stop. Don't run. You bastard, don't run away. This traitor doesn't even have the courage to confront us head-on. I saw a group of imps directly chasing Itachi. Fugaku behind him was also taken aback. What Uchiha Izumi said just now flashed through his mind. Let this traitor see the true strength of our Uchiha clan. The true strength of the Uchiha clan. What is the true strength of the Uchiha clan? As the patriarch, why don't I know? Everyone else reacted the same way. Especially those grown-ups. Originally still thinking about it. Facing a tough opponent like Uchiha Itachi, I'm afraid it will take a lot of fighting. But when they saw a group of children open Mangekyo, they were shocked. When did Mangekyo open so casually? Isn't this incredible? But after the surprise, there was a huge surprise immediately. With this power, what are they afraid of? Although these little guys are still very young, they are very clear about the power of Mangekyo. After all, their patriarch also has a pair. Relying solely on the power of Mangekyo, even if we don't talk about flattening the village, it is easy to restore the former land. In this case, third generation would never dare to attack the Uchiha family. Otherwise, what awaits the third generation is the disintegration of Konoha. At that time, the 5 major countries may become the 4 major countries. Thinking of this, countless nervous clansmen breathed a sigh of relief, and even felt a little excited and surging in their hearts. Uchiha Fugaku feels refreshed. The heavy pressure that made him extremely distressed before disappeared without a trace in an instant. As long as Uchiha has these kids around, the Uchiha family has nothing to fear. Never fail. What he has to do is to protect the growth of these children, become the loyal pillar of the family. Itachi. Stop. Don't run. Whoosh, a subtle body flicker technique flicker. Uchiha Izumi stood directly in front of Itachi. Behind Uchiha Izumi, there are 7 or 8 children who opened Mangekyo. Staring at the strange pattern in their eyes, even Itachi felt creepy. Come on, surround him and never let him escape. Quan gave the order coldly. The people behind him instantly turned to technique, and immediately surrounded Itachi. Cold sweat dripped down Itachi's forehead. He knew that he was probably in danger. But he has no turning back. At this moment, he can only fight. Only by fighting can we survive. Picking up kunai, Uchiha Itachi stared at his scarlet eyes, and immediately started fighting with the little ghosts. In his heart, a wave of ideas drove him. Even in the face of a desperate situation, he could not collapse. Because he shoulders a lofty mission. Only genocide, the regiment was able to prevent the civil war between the village and Uchiha. To keep the peace of the village, Uchiha Itachi was caught in an anxious situation. However, another person standing on the roof in the distance was completely stunned. Familiar with the pity of Uchiha history through Uchiha Madara, Obito certainly knows how precious Mangekyo is. The most powerful period of the Uchiha clan was when Uchiha Madara was alive. There are only a few people like Uchiha Madara and Uchiha Izuna who own Mangekyo. That was the time when the Uchiha clan was at its strongest. Even in the long river of history, only a small group of people are able to open Mangekyo Sharingan. Even if it is himself. Only after experiencing the great pain of the death of a loved one, I have Kamui Sharingan. One can imagine how difficult it is to open Mangekyo. But now, what did he see? On the ground, there are about a dozen Mangekyo Sharingan. Fight around Uchiha Itachi, it is too exaggerated. And what is the most important thing? It's the age of these kids. Their youngest is only 6 years old, owned Mangekyo at the age of 6, he can't even imagine the future achievements. It's really scary. Obito was terrified, although he is very clear about Mangekyo's few basic pupil techniques. But there are special cases, just like his Kamui Sharingan. If the following Mangekyo all have unique pupil skills, then he can't act rashly. It is extremely unwise to attack rashly without knowing the opponent's ability. It seems that we can only give up wrong. After some thought, Obito made up his mind. Although he is a very useful pawn, I cannot be exposed to the current Uchiha because of him. Saying that, Obito turned around and was about to leave. But at this moment, he turned his head and looked at Omi Uchiha, who appeared at a distance of 5 meters to his left at some point. Obviously, he was still directing the siege of the youth team Itachi just now. As a result, I found myself in the blink of an eye. This insight is extremely terrifying. After all, Obito has white zetsu on his body to help cover up his breath, so it is difficult to be discovered. Who are you? Why is it here? Uchiha Izumi frowned, she could feel the threat from the person opposite. A cold, menacing smell. Her intuition told her that the person in front of her was definitely not someone to mess with. Obito is no longer willing to intervene in the matter of extermination. But now that he has been discovered, he must destroy those who saw him. It seems that we have to make a move, but it happens to be able to recover a pair of eyes. Obito's eyes were fixed, and he rushed towards Uchiha Izumi straightly. He is very confident in his Kamui. Even if he doesn't know much about the flower tube, it doesn't prevent him from being able to give Quan a fatal blow through the information gap. Better not underestimate me. Seeing that Obito rushed up like this, Quan suddenly felt underestimated by the enemy. She pulled out kunai, not to be outdone, and charged forward. HMPH, I've been fooled. Under the mask, Nao Tian's character outlines a wicked smile. Just by being touched by his hand, he can absorb the spring into the Kamui space. That's when he'll be able to torture Izumi to find out how she acquired the Mangekyo. The sudden appearance of so many Mangekyo in Uchiha must have a certain opportunity. He must seize this opportunity, maybe he can still use it. Seeing his palm getting closer and closer to Quan. Already close to only a few centimeters away. Just in the nick of time. Whoosh! A golden light flashed away, and Yuan in front of him suddenly disappeared. Izumi stared blankly at Naruto, who hugged him by the waist. Naruto-kun, why are you? At this point in time, he is still serving as a minister in Uchiha's clan. She never thought that Naruto would appear at this time. Naruto put Izumi down gently and said, "You are not his opponent, his ability is difficult to deal with. Just leave it to me to solve it. Although I still don't understand, but since it was Naruto," Izumi nodded obediently. "Okay, I get it. You pay attention to safety." Quan retreated sensibly, and asked Naruto why he knew without talking too much. In her opinion, Naruto is the person she trusts the most. No matter what Naruto does, she will trust him unconditionally. Obito looked at Naruto with a gloomy face. "Since you came up to die by yourself, then I will send you to meet your parents." Exactly. Releasing the 9 tails in your body can also achieve the purpose of confusing Konoha. 11. And with the current state of Uchiha and Konoha, maybe it will directly break ye up. Obito's eye sockets suddenly appeared black Uzumaki, absorbing his whole body. Then Uzumaki appeared behind Naruto, and Obito's hand emerged from Uzumaki. Got it. Beneath the mask, Obito's face showed ecstasy. As long as the trouble of Naruto can be solved, it will be of great benefit to their future plans without any harm. The strength shown by Naruto now is really too strong. He couldn't help being afraid. However, this was a sure-fire catch, but it was empty. His hand passed through Naruto's body. The whole person also walked out of Uzumaki somewhat staggeringly. This is, afterimage? Obito was startled, just about to push Kamui's hollow. But it was too late. A huge force came from behind, knocking the king far away. Enduring the severe pain, he turned back in surprise. Naruto had come behind him at some point. Regardless of the pain in his body, Obito inhaled Vice Admiral himself into the Kamui space in midair. Naruto held Uchiha Izumi with one hand leisurely, waiting for Obito's attack. He knew that with Obito's confidence in Kamui, it was absolutely impossible to retreat just once. And after Obito enters the Kamui space, it will be difficult for him to chase. After all, it is Kamui's own space, and other people can't enter it if they want to. So, only by perception. Wait for Obito to come out, take a chance and take another chance. Stand still and wait. And Obito, who relieved the severe pain on his back in the Kamui space, showed a fierce light at this moment. Fortunately, his body was covered with a layer of white zetsu, otherwise, he would not be able to withstand this punch. After the pain relieved, he immediately got out of the Shenwei space. The location is naturally behind Naruto. Last time I was careless, this time I will never make the same mistakes. Obito thinks so. After getting out of the Kamui space, looking at Naruto's defenseless back, even hugging a girl, he couldn't help but itch his teeth. Damn Nine Tails Jinchuriki, how dare you look down on me so much? Look at how I torture you to death. His eyes were fierce, and his whole body was full of murderous intent. What was originally just a violent grip on Naruto's hand turned into a fist. The body has been transplanted with first-generation cells, and Obito's power itself is also very powerful. Ordinary people are afraid that they will fall apart under this punch. Even if Naruto survives this punch, he will be able to trigger the mechanism of the Kamui space and absorb Naruto into the body space. Naruto would be at his disposal then. Thinking of this, a cruel smile filled his eyes. Use it for me, Naruto. Just like your parents, in order to achieve my goal. Gia. But the next moment, Obito's fist went through Naruto's body again. Obito couldn't help but be taken aback. Then his face changed, and he subconsciously wanted to hollow his body. But before his thoughts turned around, another huge force hit him directly on the back. This time it directly smashed him into the ground. Puff. Under the mask, a mouthful of blood spurted out. Blood trickles down the lower edge of the mask. This punch directly knocked Obito into a trance. If it weren't for his tenacious perseverance, he opened the Kamui space and absorbed himself into it. I'm afraid it's possible to explain it here. At this moment, lying on the column of Kamui space, his thoughts are extremely chaotic. What is going on? I have been lurking for such a long time, how could he detect me? The last time I shot recklessly, he noticed that I was hit, it was my carelessness. But what happened this time? Afterimages cannot exist for too long. He must have left before I could. Otherwise, it would be impossible to leave such a realistic afterimage. Could it be that he guessed where I appeared again? Also a possibility. In order to attack from a blind spot, I always attack from behind. This time I'll switch places. Obito's mind was in utter confusion. Made all kinds of guesses, but he didn't give up. After resting for a few seconds in the Kamui space, Obito is ready to go out again. On the roof, Uchiha Izumi looked up at Naruto blankly. The strange means of the enemy just now made her understand that this is not an opponent she can deal with. The opponent's ability to appear and disappear is completely defenseless. Her Mangekyo Sharingan has no effect on enemies. Fortunately, she thought she had Mangekyo, her strength had improved by leaps and bounds, and she could help Naruto. As a result, if Naruto hadn't appeared in time, I'm afraid she would have been caught by the enemy and even killed. At this moment, her heart was filled with joy. Is he gone? Quan asked softly. Who is he? What is that creepy Uzumaki? Naruto lowered his head and smiled slightly. It doesn't matter who he is, what is certain is that he is your enemy, Uchiha. He appeared here, he must want to attack the Uchiha clan with Itachi. Otherwise, he wouldn't want to shoot you indiscriminately. As for his goal has not been achieved, he should not just leave. Don't worry, with me here, it is impossible for him to hurt you. Izumi lowered his head obediently, put his cheek on Naruto's strong chest, and listened to his vigorous heartbeat through his clothes. So good. The feeling of being protected by a loved one. She closed her eyes with peace of mind, feeling Naruto's protection to her heart's content. By Naruto's side, she has an unparalleled sense of security. Even if there is a weird enemy by her side, She does not have the slightest fear or worry. Naruto will protect me, she thought. Surrender all your safety to Naruto. This is her greatest trust in Naruto, at this time. In addition to the hidden battle between Naruto and Obito on the roof, the battlefield is even more intense on the ground, where Itachi faces the siege of Uchiha boys. Under Naruto's training, the tacit understanding between them is unparalleled. In particular, Naruto often dealt with all of their attacks alone, which made them very familiar with this kind of battle where dozens of people deal with one person. But Itachi doesn't have Naruto's evasive skill and speed. Even with Mangekyo Sharingan, Itachi's predicament is still not resolved. As Uchiha teenagers naturally know how to prevent Uchiha's illusion. So when fighting, they don't stare at Itachi's eyes, but look at his limbs to judge his next move. The offensive of the Uchiha boys is like a torrent of water. No matter how strong Itachi is alone, he is still exhausted at this time. Even his left arm had been cut deeply, and his calf was also injured, and blood was flowing now. Fire-style great fireball technique. In desperation, he quickly formed a seal, and then spit out a fireball with a diameter of 2 meters from his mouth. But it's like turning on a switch. The Uchiha boys stopped their hands suddenly, and then made seals neatly. Then his chest bulged and he made a blowing posture. Fire-style great fireball technique. Fire-style great fireball technique. Fire-style great fireball technique. The night is directly illuminated by the intense firelight. Even Naruto on the roof couldn't help but be attracted. Although the power is still a bit weak, but after the number increases, it is still very impressive. Naruto nodded. Izumi looked down in panic. So many ninjutsu collisions, the house will blow up. Naruto smiled and said, "Don't worry, even if 1 or 2 houses are blown up, the people inside have already left, and no one will be injured. Also, if you want to catch Itachi, how can you do it without paying these prices?" Hearing what Naruto said, Izumi immediately let go of his worries. Then she remembered that at the very beginning, the patriarch Fugaku organized people to take the old, young, women and children to a safe place. So the surrounding houses are all empty inside. Boom. Dozens of fireballs collided, producing an extremely violent explosion. The lightweight Uchiha boys were blown away by the violent blast. Some adults who were unable to dodge in time were also blown out one after another. Itachi got a chance to breathe, but he didn't run away. He knew that now he had no way out. If he just leaves like this, not only him, but even Shisui's efforts will be in vain. For the peace of the village, he must continue the operation. He looked up and searched on the roof. Damn, where did Uchiha Madara go? Why not come now? Itachi's heart is extremely anxious at this moment. In order to protect the village and Sasuke, he had to choose to sacrifice his tribe. If even the first step of the plan is blocked, what kind of plan is there? So far, he hasn't even killed a single person. On the roof, Naruto protects the spring behind him, preventing Kwangmeng's blast from blowing the spring away. All his eyes fell on Itachi, and right now, a hand stretched out from the darkness and grabbed his back again. Obito strikes from Naruto's back again. I'll see how you hide this time. Seeing that Naruto's attention was all down below, Obito was suddenly ecstatic. This is his best chance right now. He must hold on to it. Then, his hands crossed again, and this time, almost the moment his right hand pierced through Naruto's afterimage, a Kwangmeng fist hit Obito's face directly. Boom. Obito was directly sent flying, and the fragile mask on his face was directly shattered. Fortunately, at the critical moment, Obito sucked himself into the Kamui space, so that he didn't reveal his true identity. Quan stared wide-eyed at the shattered mask left on the roof. The face he just had. Naruto asked curiously. Did you see it? He knew Obito's identity. But he didn't say it clearly. After all, it's hard to explain why. According to common sense, it is impossible for him to know Dai Wang. So he clearly knew Obito's identity, but he didn't say it. Quan shook his head suspiciously and said, I didn't see it, but his face seemed swollen. Izumi only saw a little, but didn't see Obito's face clearly. And that face was very strange to her, and she didn't recognize it. Obito's face is naturally ugly. After all, he suffered such serious injuries when he was young, If he hadn't been hanging by white zetsu, he would have died long ago. Part of his body is also covered with white zetsu, so it looks wrinkled like old tree bark. Naruto nodded and said. Within his conqueror's detection range, Obito was several hundred meters away. Judging from this, it should be ready to flash people. Although it is a pity that the true identity of this person has not been explored, at least he should not dare to come for a short time. It's a pity, his ability is too suitable for escaping. Otherwise, getting rid of 093 here will definitely save a lot of trouble. There is such a weird person staring at Konoha and Uchiha in the dark. I must continue to work hard and make myself stronger so that I can protect what I want to protect. Quan nodded seriously. Naruto glanced at her, then lowered his gaze. At this time, the fire was still there, and the surrounding houses were burning under the flames. On the street, the Uchiha boys gathered together and confronted Itachi 10 meters away. Itachi was very embarrassed at this time. The left arm, abdomen, back, calf. All parts of the body were injured. Moreover, the high-temperature explosive wind generated by the explosion of dozens of fireballs just now swept over his body, making his clothes tattered. Even the hair looks a little burnt, in contrast to the Uchiha boys. They were also blown away by the blast, but their bodies were intact, and although there were some burn marks on their hair, they were very few. Much better than a ferret. Itachi gasped heavily, his chest heaving violently. He looked at the Uchiha boys in front of him, looked at the Sharingan of Sanguyu and even Mangekyo in their eyes, with a wry smile on his face. He murmured under his breath, I didn't expect. They became so strong. I don't know if Sasuke has also awakened the three-god Jade. Maybe he has already awakened Mangekyo. When I think that Sasuke is hiding from me, my heart suddenly hurts. It seems that I have neglected to take care of him recently. Maybe this is also the reason why everyone alienates me? Itachi first thought of Quan's inexplicable ignorance of him recently, and that his mother was not as patient with him as before. Although Sasuke also practiced with him, he didn't pester him as frequently as before. If it was him as usual, he should be able to perceive the significance of these changes. But he was too involved in this action, so that he didn't notice the changes that he should have noticed. He looked up and let out a long sigh. It seems that this plan may have failed. Now, assassination is out of the question. And after the confrontation with dozens of people just now, Uchiha Itachi has deeply realized that he can't destroy the clan. Don't talk about extermination, I can't even kill a person. The strength of these people is far beyond what I expected. He has only one thought now, and that is how to escape. And at the same time, outside the Uchiha mansion, as soon as the third generation arrived, they saw dozens of great fireballs colliding with each other. He was frightened and stupid. What's the situation? Do you mean Rang Yu's assassination, the night of the clan? How did you make such a big noise? Third generation didn't dare to neglect, and glanced quickly, analyzing the situation on the field. When the smoke cleared, he saw Itachi confronting all Uchiha alone. And the helper Itachi mentioned earlier didn't show up at all. This time, third generation immediately understood the situation. Fortunately, I followed, otherwise the matter would have been exposed. What's going on here? How could Uchiha Itachi be beaten like this? Isn't he a genius of the Uchiha family? How did he get fenced in? Third generation is completely dumbfounded. What the hell? I also look forward to Uchiha Itachi helping me wipe out the Uchiha family, and come here to reap the benefits of the fisherman. The result was on the spot. Uchiha Itachi was wounded instead. And it looks like no one was killed. The ground is clean, not a single corpse. Third generation didn't have time to think about what was going on. Because once Itachi is caught and forced to ask that the instigator of this incident is the high-ranking Konoha, I am afraid that a civil war in the village will inevitably happen. Fortunately, Naruto heard our conversation and told me the key information. Otherwise things will go awry. The third generation breathed a sigh of relief thankfully, and then his face became serious. He knew it wasn't over yet. In order to hide the Konoha executives hiding behind the scenes, he had to shut Itachi down. Sorry, Itachi, but I have to. A hint of cruelty flashed in third generation's eyes. Itachi stood up straight and adjusted his breathing. He has made up his mind and is ready to fight to the death to end this operation. If you win, the plan will proceed smoothly. If he loses, he will not be able to survive. Opposite, Uchiha splits to the sides. Fugaku stepped forward with a sullen face. Itachi, I didn't expect you to be such a white-eyed wolf. I have high hopes for you. When I agreed with you to enter Anbu, it was for you to assassinate the high-ranking Konoha at a critical moment. It turned out that you, a rebellious son, turned out to be a traitor. I, Uchiha Fugaku, am incompetent to give birth to a bastard like you. 17. Today, I must clean the portal. Give me an obedient death. Facing Fugaku's cold and heartless words, Itachi didn't respond. He has made a decision to freeze his heart. Now in the whole Uchiha, the only person he cares about is Sasuke, who is not there. He doesn't care about the others. Anyway, what he did was already treasonous. But at this moment, Pooh! Itachi's eyes widened suddenly, and he slowly lowered his head, looking at the sharp blade piercing through his chest. Not only him, Fugaku on the opposite side also opened his eyes wide. Although he said that he would kill his own son himself, it was more out of anger. And he had to ask Itachi's reason for doing this and the real instigator from Itachi's mouth. As a result, before he could make a move, Itachi was attacked by someone. On the roof, after seeing the person behind Uchiha Itachi, Gen covered his mouth and let out an exclamation. Then, is that Master Hokage? But why is Master Hokage here? Is it third generation? Naruto's mouth corner concealed an evil smile. This third generation was really ruthless. Seeing that the situation was not right, he directly discarded the chess piece. Field. Itachi, who was attacked, slowly raised his head, and what he saw was third generation's sinister face. This moment, he feels no pain. Some are just blank. Why? He asked in a low voice. Third generation naturally wouldn't answer him. He pulled out the ninja knife violently, allowing Itachi's body to fall limply. Boom. Itachi felt no pain when his cheek hit the ground. He just felt a cold wrapping his whole body. The coldness of being completely betrayed. Does my father feel the same as me? He couldn't help thinking. At this moment, his brain went blank. What was all this he did? To keep the village peaceful, he and Shisui made such a great sacrifice. In the end, he became an abandoned child. Now, Uchiha thinks he is a traitor. And now, Hokage, whom he gave all his trust to, has dealt him the fatal blow. At this moment, he suddenly didn't know what he should believe. In a daze, he saw the third generation standing beside him talking with open hands. Unfortunately, he can't hear clearly now. But maybe, it's also a mess if you can't hear clearly. At least, I won't be pissed off by the content again. After backstabbing Itachi, third generation immediately threw the ninja sword aside, spread his hands and said. I rushed over immediately when I heard the news from Anbu. I didn't expect Itachi to become a traitor and want to destroy Konoha's Uchiha clan. And sending Itachi to do this, the behind-the-scenes mastermind is really vicious. He wants to provoke a war between the Uchiha clan and the village. Fugaku Patriarch, I hope you can see the truth of the matter clearly, judge the current situation, and don't cause a catastrophe. Fugaku frowned, his eyes turned back and forth between third generation and Itachi lying on the ground, seeming to be in doubt. But behind him, an unconvinced voice came out. Stop being hypocritical. We don't believe what you say. Itachi must have been sent by you, he is from Anbu, and he is your direct subordinate. Fugaku looked back, but couldn't find the speaker. As a result, another voice came from the other side. Yes, otherwise, how could you come by such a coincidence? You said that Anbu notified you, but what about Anbu? Why didn't I see Anbu's ninja? Another person chimed in. That's right. Even if our clan is outside the village, why didn't Anbu show up when such a big thing happened? It must be a conspiracy of your high level. Third generation. You're pretending to be a fool. Third generation spread out his hands, wanting to say something but couldn't say it. Anbu's non-appearance is naturally his order, just to allow Itachi to carry out his duties. But now, he secretly hated his decision. And when he met Itachi, he deliberately asked Anbu to leave. As a result, now he doesn't even have an Anbu to testify for him. Now, he couldn't argue with anything. Seeing Uchiha's left and right sentences, he was about to characterize this matter as the work of Konoha's high-level officials. The savior of the third generation appeared. Wait a minute, I can testify to this matter. Naruto jumped off the roof. This matter has nothing to do with Grandpa third generation. Facing the questioning of the Uchiha clan, the third generation who came suddenly couldn't argue. Because it was so sudden. If Naruto hadn't suddenly told third generation that the Uchiha clan had been strengthened by him. Third generation doesn't show up. Hastily and without sufficient preparation, third generation naturally aroused the suspicion of the Uchiha clan. Originally, Itachi was a member of Anbu directly under Hokage's third generation, and the relationship between the Uchiha clan and Konoha's senior management has been very tense recently. At this time, the third generation appearing here alone is naturally very suspicious. Now, in the face of this sudden dilemma, the unprepared third generation just felt parched, and all kinds of rhetoric were constantly spinning in his mind. However, it is naturally difficult to get the approval of the Uchiha family based on the words of a person who has been doubted. At this time, a firm voice descended on him like a holy light. I can testify. Grandpa third generation definitely has nothing to do with this matter. Everyone immediately looked up to find the owner of the voice. Then they saw Naruto standing on the roof, and Uchiha Izumi standing next to Naruto. After Naruto spoke, Hara, who was somewhat shy, left Naruto's embrace. At this moment, the little face is still flushed, which is really cute. Third generation looked up and felt infinite warmth immediately after seeing Naruto. At this time, third generation didn't even have the time to think about why Naruto was here. He just felt saved. Third generation cannot defend itself, but with witnesses, the situation is different. Seeing Naruto, the people of the Uchiha clan suddenly made a noise. Can you believe his words? He is a demon fox. That's right. Maybe he is with the third generation, otherwise why would he appear here? If you want me to say, this must be a conspiracy of the third generation. It is to disintegrate the power of our Uchiha clan, and even use the sharp blade of Itachi to eradicate us all. It's a pity that he didn't expect our Uchiha's power to be so powerful, which led to a mistake in the plan. He appeared suddenly, it must be to clear the suspicion. Naruto couldn't help giving these Uchiha guys a high look. Basically said the plan of the third generation. But alas, they have no proof, and the third generation can't die yet. If the third generation dies, Konoha will definitely fall into chaos. That guy Danzo will definitely jump out to compete for the position of Hokage, and Konoha will definitely set off a bloodbath. After all, with Danzo's vicious character, those who disobey him will definitely be dealt a devastating blow. This is what Naruto does not want to see, and the third generation can be said to be completely under his control. Naruto is too young now. Age has become his biggest limitation. Before Naruto grows up enough to take Hokage's place, it's best to let third generation, who is easy to control, sit in this position. That way, when Naruto wants to become Hokage in the future, the resistance will be much smaller. It is also based on this that Naruto will jump out to keep third generation. In the face of everyone's doubts, Naruto did not speak to defend himself. Because there is no need for him to say it himself, someone will naturally defend him. Uchiha Iron Tree heard the noise of the adults behind him, turned his head and said loudly. Naruto is not such a person, he is a good person. And he spared no effort to teach us, so that we have the power we have now. Even Sharingan was awakened by Naruto for us. As soon as this sentence came out, the audience was in an uproar. What did you say? Sharingan is the bloodline inheritance of our Uchiha clan, but Naruto is an outsider. How could he awaken the Sharingan method? That's right, children, don't talk nonsense. Even if you have a good relationship, you can't lie. Now is the time for adults, you children, don't talk casually. The grown-ups naturally didn't believe it. Sharingan can be said to be the pride of their Uchiha clan. If an outsider can teach so many Sangao Jade or even the legendary Mangekyo Sharingan, that is equivalent to slapping them in the face in a row. They can't take it. Uchiha Tieshu and the others suddenly became anxious, and started yelling at one another. We didn't lie. We practice in the abandoned warehouse curry every day, and you don't even know it. If it weren't for Naruto to help us, we might not even be able to open Sharingan. Even if you are our elders, I will not allow you to say these words that slander Naruto. That's right. Apologize to Naruto. When the adults saw that the group of children were yelling at them, they immediately became angry. At this time, they completely forgot the fact that these children were stronger than them, and each of them rolled up their sleeves and planned to have a loving family law. But at this moment, Uchiha Fugaku, who had been silent all this time, stepped forward. He naturally trusted Naruto. From the time Naruto brought Utate Kaharu's severed arm over, Fugaku knew that Naruto must be his own. Although Fugaku couldn't figure out why Naruto wanted to protect the third generation at this time, he knew that Naruto must have his own reasons. Moreover, Naruto's help to their Uchiha clan is obvious to all. Just look at these kids. Whose kid has Jonin's strength at 6? It's all thanks to Naruto. Not to mention Naruto's own strength, but the ability to teach students is enough for all the ninjas to make friends with him. Who doesn't want their descendants to become stronger, so that their family can be passed on stably? On this point, Fugaku believes that Konoha's ninjas all agree. That is, Naruto must not be evil, because it is related to the future growth of his family. After turning his thoughts quickly, he said in a deep voice, "Stop making noise." When the patriarch spoke, the child immediately shut up. Even if their strength has been improved, the fear of the patriarch is still very high. The adults also stopped aggrieved and gave enough respect to Fugaku, the patriarch. "I trust you, Naruto," he said slowly. This sentence suddenly fell like a shock. The adults opened their mouths wide in surprise, looking at their patriarch in disbelief. Fugaku seemed to know their doubts, looked at them and said, "Think about it carefully, Naruto is not our enemy. If he really colluded with the third generation and Konoha's senior management, how could he work hard to teach these children? This time, if these children hadn't discovered my villain's plot, maybe we would have suffered heavy losses." He stated his reasons. The calm words immediately calmed down the Uchiha Ten clan. They thought about it carefully and found that it was indeed the case. If Naruto is really with Konoha's high-level gang, then there is no need to train these children to increase the power of the Uchiha clan. This also indirectly led to the failure of Konoha's high-level conspiracy. But in this way, is it really just a coincidence that the third generation appeared here? But this is too coincidental, and there is no Anbu by third generation side. It's hard to tell. That's too coincidental. Why did the third generation appear here at this point in time? Some people questioned unwillingly. Naruto said at this time, "Actually, Grandpa third generation has been with me just now, so I can testify. I had some questions about ninjutsu training, so I thought of the title of Dr. Ninjutsu, Grandpa third generation, so I asked him to teach me. That's why Grandpa third generation appeared around here at this point in time." Naruto's explanation is reasonable and can also explain why he appeared here at this point in time. However, the man was still not reconciled. Then how do you explain that Anbu is no longer there? Naruto is not good at explaining this. After all, normally speaking, Naruto should not know Anbu's whereabouts. So he turned his gaze to third generation, which meant that he could only look at you. Third generation has calmed down by this time. He coughed lightly, then said, "Because of time constraints, I didn't want to make a big fuss, so I let Anbu go on guard and didn't have protection by my side. The incident happened suddenly, I didn't have time to call them back to 607, so I had to rush here first. Now, the Uchiha clan has nothing to say." Third generation gave Naruto a look of approval. But third generation still has a question in mind at this time. Because third generation knew Naruto was lying. He was curious about the reason why Naruto lied. But now is certainly not the time to say that. However, Naruto's impression of third generation has improved a lot. If it weren't for Naruto's rescue this time, third generation would be indisputable. Without Anbu's accompanying third generation, he was trapped in the Uchiha tribe alone, and it may be difficult to get out alive. Naruto and third generation exchanged glances, then turned their gazes back to Iron Tree and the others. He was very satisfied with Taishu's performance. Whether it is the strength they have shown, or their maintenance of Naruto. These all prove that Naruto's input is correct. When these children grow up, they are the foundation for Naruto to control Uchiha. At that time, relying on the trust of third generation and the support of Uchiha. If he can't be Hokage, who can? The atmosphere at the scene suddenly eased down. Although this conflict happened very suddenly, the result seems to be good. Apart from one mutiny who suffered serious injuries, Uchiha lost only a few houses. No one was hurt. Speaking of ferrets, third generation also looked at Itachi, who was unconscious at this time. The wound on his chest was still bleeding, and if left untreated, the bleeding alone would have killed him. But obviously, at this time, Itachi shutting up directly is the best choice for third generation. He slowly pulled out a handful of kunai, and suddenly stabbed his lower body fiercely. At this time, the black Uzumaki appeared and blocked the third generation's attack. This sudden change attracted everyone's attention. It's that person. Quan recognized at a glance the ability of the mysterious man wearing a mask. I saw a hand deep inside the Uzumaki, grabbed Itachi and got into the Uzumaki, and then disappeared. How is this going? Uchiha Fugaku frowned suddenly. Could this matter really have nothing to do with third generation? Originally, Fugaku was sure that this incident must have something to do with Konoha's senior management. But the mysterious person who just appeared suddenly overturned Fugaku's conjecture. That kind of weird space ninjutsu, if there is such a person in Konoha, as the head of the Uchiha clan, it is impossible for him not to know. So, there are external factors involved in this matter? Is Itachi really a traitor? Not just a traitor to the Uchiha clan, but even a traitor to Konoha? This time, Fugaku felt even angrier. Lousy sent you to Anbu, it's fine if you don't stop Lousy. As a result, you now directly betray the village? While Fugaku was angry, he was also shocked by the space ninjutsu shown by the mysterious man just now. Appear out of thin air, and then pull people directly into that space. This kind of weird and unpredictable ability is obviously very difficult to guard against. If this person attacked suddenly, no one would be able to guard against it. Fugaku was secretly afraid. The Uchiha people present were already fried. What is that? It's so weird. Is that Itachi's partner? Did he betray the village? That guy, I knew he must be upset and kind, and Shisui's death must have something to do with him. What is the identity of that mysterious person, who possesses such weird and unpredictable ninjutsu? Yes, if you are attacked by that guy, everyone must be vigilant, since that person is Itachi's accomplice, he must be full of hostility towards us. That's right, everyone, don't let your guard down, you must protect our clansmen. Tieshu stood up at this time and said, well, we will carry out a simulated assassination when the time comes, so that everyone's vigilance can be improved. The other little devils who had experienced the simulated assassination immediately stood up. Everyone was eager to try, looking at the adults with malicious eyes. Under normal circumstances, as juniors, they naturally couldn't attack the elders at will, that would be very impolite. But if it is a simulated assassination, naturally there is no scruples. After all, assassins have no scruples, but the adults obviously questioned their strength. You? Do you understand assassination? Assassination is an art. You have only just graduated from the Jonin school, so even if you have strength, it doesn't matter. Assassination is not only about strength. Kids, stop messing around. We will take care of this matter. Be careful and protect yourselves. The forehead of Uchiha Iron Sword hidden in the crowd was covered with sweat. There was a wry smile on his face. Tai Jian knew how ruthless these little guys were when they started the assassination. At the beginning, Tai Jian was almost killed by mistake several times. At that time, I had to be careful when eating, first try to see if there is any poison before eating with fear. Afraid of eating something with laxatives. Tai Jianshin turned his head with a tacit understanding, and saw the same face with a wry smile. The other party is Uchiha Liuyun's father. The two can be said to be in the same boat. They were all affected by the simulated assassination between their children, and almost died. Fugaku said in a deep voice, the matter of the mysterious man can't be pursued now, please remember to protect yourself and warn strangers. As for the matter about Itachi, I, as a father, will definitely give everyone an explanation. As soon as he said these words, everyone understood what he meant. Obviously, he already has the idea of killing relatives righteously. I can understand it when I think about it. After all, Fugaku is the head of the clan, and it is impossible for him as the head of the clan not to express his own son's troubles. Otherwise, it would be impossible to convince the public at all. Third generation also stood up and said regretfully. The old man is also very ashamed. The old man took a fancy to Itachi's aptitude and thought Itachi could be a bridge for reconciliation between Uchiha and the village, but he didn't expect him to have such a treacherous idea. After the old man returns, he will definitely investigate Itachi's whereabouts to see why he betrayed the Uchiha clan and the village. As for the mysterious man, please don't panic, the barrier of the village must have been exposed by that traitor Itachi. I will change the layout of the barrier as soon as possible, so that the mysterious person can no longer enter at will. Everyone, please rest assured. The matter of Uchiha, the old man will handle it properly. Everyone should go back to rest first, it's getting late. The old man will definitely give everyone an explanation. As for when, that is up to me. Third generation said secretly in his heart. Fugaku looked at his own people and said. Everyone heard it too. Let's all go back, and leave a few people here to deal with it with me. The frightened old people and children were comforted, and they were too worried. After the two finished talking one after the other, Uchiha who was present could only look at each other, and then left. Obviously they are not reconciled, but the situation is different from what they imagined. If Itachi is in collusion with the Konoha high level, they have enough reasons to set off a rebellion. But now the situation is complicated and confusing, and it is not easy for them to take the opportunity to act. I can only go home with regrets and wait for the next opportunity. It's a pity that they don't know when this opportunity will come and whether it will come or not. Soon, people went back, leaving only a few of Fugaku's cronies to clean up the mess. Naruto said to Izumi beside him, "It's getting late, you should go back too." Quan nodded, looked at Naruto hesitantly, but finally didn't say anything, just smiled and said. "Then I'm leaving, you should rest early too, Naruto-kun." Naruto stood on the roof, watched as Fugaku talked with third generation for 2 or 3 sentences, but he couldn't hear him because of the distance. But judging from the relieved expression of third generation, it is obvious that he is comforting Fugaku. Naruto ignored it. This thing is over. Uchiha survived, and his goal was achieved. In a short time, there is no need to worry about the Uchiha family. There is still a drizzle over Rain Shinobi village. The people in Ninja Village had numb faces and walked on the muddy road in raincoats. Due to the extreme lack of sunlight, their bodies are weaker than ordinary people. Someone was walking staggeringly, one staggered and fell to the ground, and never got up again. People around are indifferent to this, just go their own way. Although their eyes are extremely dazed, they don't know where their future direction is. The cold and humid air had no effect on Pain sitting on the statue. As always, Pain is sitting here monitoring the situation throughout Rain Shinobi village. The drizzle is Pain's tentacles, feeling all the changes in the entire Rain Shinobi village for him. Here, Pen is God. The rain fell on Pain's hair, then across his cheeks and down his jaw. Pain didn't change his expression at all, even if the rain was pouring into his eyes. Too slow. Pen said suddenly, "I don't know who I'm talking to." After all, there was no one around. If the plan is correct, Madara should be back by now. Pain frowned slightly. He doesn't like when plans go awry. At this time, suddenly there was some movement behind him. Before Pain turned his head, he heard 2 plops. He stood up in surprise and looked back to see Obito lying on the ground wearing a badly wounded unconscious man. "What's going on? Why are you in such a mess?" Pain recognized the unconscious person as Uchiha Itachi, and a bad premonition immediately emerged in his heart. A new mask had been put on Obito's face, and he barely stood up, not letting his weakness be seen. This is very detrimental to Obito's control over the Akatsuki. After all, Pain didn't trust Obito 100%. Being able to suppress Pain is entirely Obito's Kamui and his fabricated Uchiha Madara identity. Once Obito shows weakness, I am afraid that Pain's trust in him will be infinitely reduced. Obito said in a deep voice. The plan has changed, and there has been a major deviation in the Uchiha genocide plan. We failed. Pen frowned suddenly. For future plans, eliminating the Uchiha clan that owns the Sharingan is the top priority. After all, their plan requires the collection of tailed beasts. And Uchiha's Sharingan can control the tailed beast. For their plan, naturally they can't stay. As a result, you gave me a mistake at the first step? What happened? With you here, and Uchiha Itachi, whom you highly recommended, how could it still fail? Pain can't figure it out. Who in Konoha can stop Obito, who owns Kamui at this time? He has to admit that he also feels tricky with Kamui's Obito. Good lord. Obito breathed a sigh of relief, then continued. It was Uzumaki Naruto, who took the lead in training a group of powerful Uchiha. Itachi didn't investigate for a while, the plan was revealed and he was surrounded. I was a little careless, and I couldn't show my strength 100%. I lost against Uzumaki Naruto. Stop the loss in time. I can only forcefully bring Itachi back first. Uzumaki Naruto? Pain frowned. Isn't this Jinchuriki from Nine Tails? A while ago, there was quite a big disturbance. It is said that Orochimaru was also defeated by this brat. But you, Uchiha Madara, the god of ninja, are you nothing but a brat? Even if you are older now and you are not in your heyday, this is really unreasonable. Pain murmured inwardly. With you like this, can our plan still be completed? You can't beat Uzumaki Naruto now. How will you get the 9 tails in Uzumaki Naruto when the time comes? Although my heart is full of doubts about Obito. But Pain didn't show the pinch. He just asked with a frown. What are you going to do next? Obito looked at Itachi, who was still unconscious, and said. Itachi is going to join the organization, and I'm going to show up too. You can arrange it. Although the plan failed, Itachi's strength is still very strong. It will come in handy when we collect tailed beasts in the future. Hearing this, Pain couldn't help it. How can I introduce you to this situation? So you're two losers. Pain felt more and more that this Uchiha Madara was really unreliable. As a former senior, now he can't even beat a 6-year-old child. Pain now seriously doubts that this guy will be useful. When Uchiha Madara appeared in front of him, he was full of force. Looking at the results so far, it is really suspicious. Can't even beat a 6-year-old child. Is this the man who was once called the god of the ninja world? Pain was deeply skeptical, but of course he couldn't say it at the moment. After all, the two are now on the same boat. It would do neither of them any good if the ship capsizes. Nara Luju leaned on the chair, seemed to be resting with his eyes closed, but actually secretly watched everyone who entered through the door. This call is too sudden. It must have something to do with what happened yesterday. He muttered softly in a voice only he could hear. Even if the Uchiha clan is outside the village. But the movement made by dozens of great fireballs still alarmed the people of these families. It's just that they avoided suspicion and didn't go to check. And at that time, there were Anbu people guarding around each ninja. This made Nara Luju immediately understand that there must be a conspiracy. I don't know what the higher-ups are planning to do. Well, the head of the Hyuga family has also come, plus the 3 Ino Shikacho families who have been present, as well as Inajing, Aburame, Sarutobi, Shimura and so on. Just short of Uchiha. Just then, Fugaku, the head of the Uchiha clan, arrives. When Fugaku appeared at the door, he immediately attracted everyone's attention. The heads of the major families present and the representative 517 were not fools. The movement that happened yesterday was not small, and they all knew what happened within the Uchiha clan. It's just that they don't know what's going on because of Anbu's close monitoring. But it can also be inferred from Anbu's situation. In this, it must be inseparable from the high-level Konoha. This time, everyone was suddenly called here, and there must be something important to announce. What a hassle. Naruto couldn't help but sigh. He is not one to like trouble. Although being the monitor of Konoha Jonin's class, Nara Shikaku has always had a lot of troubles. But it would be a little less troublesome. Fugaku ignored anyone, took a few cronies, and went straight to the innermost, right-hand side of Hokage's position. That was originally the location of the Sarutobi clan. As a result, after Fugaku arrived, the representative of the Sarutobi family who directly forced him with his eyes had to give up his position. Otherwise, representatives of the Sarutobi clan are worried about whether Fugaku will do it directly. Fugaku sat down, and his confidant stood behind him. Right now, representatives of Konoha's major ninja clans are all present. Only the third generation, who had called everyone together, did not appear. The entire conference room was silent, no one spoke. But the eyes are constantly communicating with each other, with a unique tacit understanding. Nara Luju gestured to his two friends with their eyes to stop talking nonsense, and then closed their eyes and rested with the old god in their eyes. Finally, after waiting for a while, third generation walked in slowly. They're all here. Third generation had a smile on his face, as if he was a good old man. It's been a long time since I called everyone over. The reason why I called you today is naturally because some major events have just happened in the village. Third generation slowly came to their place, saw that Fugaku took the place of their own representative, and did not speak. After all, what happened yesterday, third generation can be regarded as the wrong party. Although Naruto testified, the third generation was taken out of this matter. But third generation also knew that Fugaku must still be suspicious of Konoha's higher-ups. Yesterday's brief exchange made third generation confirm this even more. When Hokage arrived, everyone turned their attention to third generation. Nara Luju sighed in his heart, and then asked, "I don't know why Master Hokage summoned us this time." Nara didn't want to speak for a long time, but his status as a Jonin class meant that he couldn't be like a little transparent and say nothing. Hearing Nara Shikaku's question, third generation sighed deeply. It's time to act again, cunning old fox. Nara Luju cursed secretly in his heart, but naturally he couldn't show it on his face. In fact, most of the owners heard this sigh and knew that the third generation was going to sell badly again. They are used to this kind of thing. Before, the third generation did not know how many things they had endured. The moment they heard this sigh, they felt a sense of disgust in their hearts. Of course, not a single trace can be revealed on the surface. Otherwise, it will become a butt in the hands of others. After third generation sighed, his face became a bit lonely. The amiable smile when he first came in completely disappeared. The face-changing technology can be described as proficient. Although there is no explicit statement, everyone should know that the conflicts between the Uchiha clan and the village have increased a lot recently. And all of this is because the Uchiha family was treated unfairly. The audience was in an uproar. They looked at each other in surprise, unable to believe that this sentence came from the mouth of third generation. Of course, these are representatives of the little ninja clan. People like those big ninjas, such as Hyuga, Inoshika Cho, etc., are waiting for the next generation. As for Uchiha Fugaku, simply put your arms around your shoulders and close your eyes. When he came here this time, he just wanted to hear what kind of explanation third generation planned to give Uchiha. The cronies behind him couldn't help but rolled their eyes, obviously disgusted by third generation's rhetoric. Although there was an uproar and surprise, no one whispered. After all, the conference room is not a big place, so it is obviously not a good place for private discussions. Even if they have a lot to say in their hearts at the moment. At this time, I can only endure it. Listen to what the third generation has to say before speaking. Third generation paused, and felt a little embarrassed when they found that no one took care of them. Third generation also thought that someone would be able to strike up a conversation so that he could continue the conversation. But now no one dares to talk to them, which made third generation a little embarrassed. Fortunately, third generation's face has been tempered for so many years, and it is already thick enough. This little embarrassment is not even a tickle for third generation. Aha! He coughed lightly and continued. For a long time, the people of the Uchiha clan have been conscientiously making penultimate contributions to the peace of Konoha, maintaining the peace inside Konoha. The Konoha Guard has been seriously handling all kinds of disputes in the village. However, their hard work is not understood by the villagers, and on the contrary, they have resentment towards the Uchiha family. This is very wrong, and it's also a relationship that my Hokage didn't realize in time. It's my Hokage's dereliction of duty, I'm ashamed. Having said that, third generation's voice became low. After a slight pause, the voice of third generation suddenly became high. But this is very unfair to the Uchiha clan. They worked so hard, and they didn't get what they deserved. The voice was passionate, but the applause that should have been heard was not heard. Fugaku's confidant muttered softly, "It's nice to say, don't you put gold on your face?" If you were really up to business, you would have slaughtered that scourge of Danzo long ago. Although the sound is quiet, it can be clearly heard in a quiet conference room. However, everyone seems to have become deaf at this moment. People in Uchiha dare to say such words, but they dare not respond casually. The people in Uchiha have the courage to confront the village high level, but these ninjas do not have the courage and background. Everyone ignored the soft muttering and just watched third generation silently, hoping that third generation could tell what happened last night as soon as possible. The third generation also heard it, or rather he heard it most clearly. But he didn't care at all. If the people in Uchiha didn't say anything, he would care more. It's embarrassing to say. A guilty look appeared on third generation's face. Everyone watching third generation cursed the old fox in their hearts again. Third generation said with shame, I have been working hard to find ideas that can bring the Uchiha family back to the embrace of Konoha, but I have never noticed that the people around me have been eroded by the outside world. External erosion? What's the meaning? The people around third generation, do you mean Anbu? Everyone guessed in their hearts. Third generation said. As Uchiha Itachi of Anbu, I had high hopes that he would be a bridge of reconciliation between the village and the Uchiha clan. But he got acquainted with a mysterious existence outside, and he intends to attack the innocent Uchiha clan. Just last night, he still attacked the Uchiha clan with a mysterious being. If it weren't for the overall strength of the Uchiha clan and the strict security, that traitor would not have succeeded. However, Uchiha also paid a huge price by destroying 3 houses to repel that cunning traitor. WTF? Everyone couldn't help but doubt their ears. Is the price of 3 houses a lot? It sounded like no one was killed. The big movement yesterday just destroyed the 3 bodies? Don't be kidding, are you? But looking at the seriousness of third generation, it seems that the destruction of a house is really a huge price. Everyone couldn't help but whisper in their hearts. Looks like Uchiha has the upper hand this time. Otherwise, it would be impossible for third generation to say such outrageous remarks. Third generation continued. Fortunately, I showed up in time to stop Uchiha Itachi's plot, and the tragedy did not happen. A wanted arrest for Uchiha Itachi, the traitorous ninja, has been issued, regardless of life or death. Preferably dead. If Itachi comes back alive and confesses me at that time, my position as Hokage will be lost. Third generation thought to himself. By the way, there are also Uchiha Itachi's accomplices, who must also know the contents of the plan. It is also a disaster that must not be left behind. After roughly explaining what happened yesterday, the third generation will issue the arrest warrant for Itachi. Then he said to everyone, in order for the Uchiha clan to accept Konoha again, I hope everyone can work hard with me. Eliminate the barriers between each other, and don't forget that we were once comrades on the battlefield. Getting to this point is far from what we had hoped for. As Hokage, I take the lead in saying sorry to the Uchiha clan. I'm sorry, it was my ineffective management that caused the Uchiha family to suffer. Next, I will do my best to let everyone know that everything you do is for Konoha's sake. Apologize personally to third generation. Even if Fugaku didn't want to ignore it, as Uchiha's patriarch at this time, he couldn't help but express it. He stood up, looked around, and said slowly, our Uchiha clan has been a part of Konoha from the beginning to the end. Uchiha Madara and Senju Hashirama teamed up to create Konoha in the midst of troubled times, bringing peace to the land of fire. And as juniors, we will naturally not forget our original intention. I just hope that the gossip about our Uchiha family will stop. I hope that you can face up to what we have done and make correct judgments. What we do is only within the scope of our responsibilities, and there has never been any overstepping. I hope that Master Hokage can do what he says. After speaking, he looked at Hidai. Third generation nodded slowly. I will. Then, he set his eyes on Naraluju. Nara Shikajiu said helplessly, scratching his head. I will send someone to investigate thoroughly. The source of these rumors may be false news spread by guys from other villages trying to get our Konoha civil war to spread. Fugaku nodded and said, sorry to bother you. With Nara Shikaku taking the lead, the others figured out what to do. So they all expressed their opinions. We will restrain the people below and fully cooperate with the work of the security team. The Fugaku Patriarch has any problems, just raise them, and we will definitely solve them through discussion. That's right, we are still a big family, even if there are some conflicts, we can resolve them internally. We used to fight together. When I think of the passion at the beginning, I still feel a little emotional. I still can't forget the brilliant performance of the Fugaku Patriarch back then. As the ninja representatives expressed their opinions one by one, the entire conference room was in harmony. The third generation watched with a smile, and waited for everyone to talk about it before announcing the end of the meeting. Everyone filed out one after another, passed the news back to the family as soon as possible, and discussed with the elders of the family the meaning behind it. Uchiha Fugaku walked out of the conference room and headed towards the Uchiha tribe with his cronies. Walking on the street, the two cronies finally couldn't hold back and said indignantly, "Third generation is too thick-skinned, dare to say that it organized Itachi's conspiracy. The patriarch should expose the lies of the third generation on the spot, and let everyone see the true face of the third generation. That's right, it's all due to Naruto." Fugaku walked forward with a calm expression without saying a word. Seeing that Fugaku didn't speak, the two cronies gradually stopped, but their faces still had an angry expression. After returning to the clan land, returning to Nanhi Shrine, and seeing the waiting people, Fugaku's expression finally changed. He flicked his sleeves violently, his face extremely gloomy. That old fox from third generation dares to say such a thing without shame. If it wasn't for the occasion, Laozi would definitely slap him in the face. Seeing him like this, the great elder knew that Fugaku was a little angry at the meeting, so he couldn't help frowning and said, "What's going on? Tell me in detail." Fugaku took a deep breath, not wanting to speak much. He waved his hands at the two cronies, and the letter immediately repeated everything that third generation had said verbatim. After listening, Uchiha present were all angry. How dare that old man? As expected of an old fox, he has a thick skin. I'm afraid even the stone statue on Hokage Rock is not as thick as him. It's too much to deceive. It completely takes all the credit for Naruto. If you want me to say, it's better to turn his back. We have so many Mangekyo now, no one can stop us. That's right, that's right. Suddenly got Iron Tree in their extremely young force, some radical Uchiha's inner ambition was ignited. Fortunately, Fugaku and the elders can still take care of the overall situation. Even if they are very angry, they also know that now is not a good time to fight with the village. Moreover, Iron Tree and the others are still young, and they already have such an excellent performance. Will definitely become an even better Uchiha ninja over time. You only need to wait for them to grow up, and then the form inside the Konoha will definitely undergo earth-shaking changes. Everyone calm down. Fugaku reached out and pressed down, and the chaotic noise was instantly suppressed. Third generation is hypocritical and cunning, we all know that. By relying on the absence of other people, he dared to turn black and white and fool everyone. But we have to remember, yesterday, who really helped our Uchiha clan. As soon as these words came out, a blonde figure appeared in everyone's mind. Fugaku looked at everyone's faces and understood that they thought of a piece. That's right, Uzumaki Naruto. Everyone came back to their senses and nodded in agreement. Fugaku thought of Naruto, and the look on his face softened. If Itachi saw Fugaku's expression at this time, he would probably jump up in surprise. Itachi had never seen this face when he was so big. I think, on this point, no one should question it. At the beginning, it was Naruto, who spared no effort to teach Tieshu in them, and even helped them open their eyes, so that they had a strength comparable to or even surpassed ours at a young age. This is Naruto's first kindness to us. And the second kindness is that last night, he personally repelled that rebellious Itachi's accomplice. If the guy with the mysterious space ninjutsu is allowed to wreak havoc, the result will certainly not be as simple as burning down 3 houses. Everyone couldn't help but recall the mysterious person who suddenly appeared yesterday and took Itachi away from the third generation. They only saw the arm protruding from Uzumaki, but no other details. But afterwards, they learned more news from Uchiha Izumi. It was a person wearing a mask, very mysterious, mastering extraordinary space ninjutsu, elusive. At the beginning, Quan was the first to discover Itachi's accomplice, and then boldly went to stop him alone. If Naruto hadn't appeared in time, I'm afraid Quan would be in danger. Everyone present heard what Quan said, and they naturally knew how important it was for Naruto to beat this mysterious man away. At least they can't be sure that they can withstand the sneak attack of this mysterious man. It is difficult for us to repay these two kindnesses. As the patriarch, I hope that our Uchiha clan will always be the most trustworthy friend of Uzumaki Naruto. Fugaku said solemnly. The great elder was the first to stand up and say. It's natural, but his identity is a bit special. What will Konoha's senior management think of us when we contact Nine Tails Jinchuriki? Before Fugaku could speak, someone shouted from below. What did they do? We're just making friends with Naruto. Don't forget what they did to us. If it wasn't for the patriarch's permission, I'd like to kill these bastards right now. If the village is without them, it will definitely become better. They are like a pool of mud, polluting the entire Konoha. A group of people were clamoring. All of them were Uchiha who are usually very excited. After the great elder finished speaking, he also felt that his words were a bit too conservative. In the current situation, Uchiha did not break away from Konoha, it was already giving Konoha face. Uchiha, who has nearly 10 pairs of Mangekyo Sharingan, is very different from before. Any decision made by the current Uchiha needs to be carefully considered by Konoha's senior management. Now, it is no longer the time for the high-level Konoha to dictate to them. Their backs have straightened up. Fugaku frowned. Don't be so excited. Now is not the time. The key now is to cultivate the Saikads and the others well. All of them are a bright future for us at Uchiha. By the way, there is also Uzumaki Naruto. The relationship between Naruto and Uzumaki must be good, absolutely not bad. If I find out that someone dares to resist, He didn't speak, but the fierce light in his eyes already represented everything. Patriarch, rest assured. Naruto is my lifelong brother, I will never let anyone insult him. That's right, Naruto is our best brother in Uchiha, we won't let our brother be ashamed. Patriarch, Naruto has helped us so much this time, if we don't show anything, isn't it justified? Yes, we are Uchiha. Even if we thank you, we must not be too mediocre, we must show our Uchiha demeanor. I really want to thank Naruto this time. If it weren't for him, I'm afraid the consequences would be unimaginable. Otherwise, invite Naruto and let him join our Uchiha clan. That's a good idea. I heard that Naruto also has a Sharingan. Maybe his ancestors are from our Uchiha clan. Really? There is such a thing. There is Sharingan, isn't that our Uchiha? I propose that Naruto be the deputy leader of our Uchiha. Patriarch, you happen to leave an unfilial son. Why don't you take this opportunity and accept Naruto as your son? It's a good idea. It can let Naruto join us, and it can also discuss those bastards in the high-level Konoha. It kills two birds with one stone. More than that, with Naruto joining, the strength of the juniors in the clan must be steadily diminishing.